Okay, so I've been sanding for about, I don't know, half an hour or so forth, and it is looking pretty smooth all over. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply good old-fashioned spak filler, which you can get from Bunnings. I think it's about $12 and so forth. Now, this isn't the spak filler you get. What I've done is I've taken some out, put it in this tub, and I've mixed it with, I don't know, about half a cup of water. So it's basically quite runny and so forth, a bit like a watery porridge. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to smear it all over the outside of the print, a little bit on the inside, but like I said, it's mostly the outside. That's what you're going to see. So you just take a brush, get it in there, get a fair amount, and then just wipe it on, pretty much. There's no rhyme or reason to it, just as long as you coat the entire thing. Now you will notice that it is getting into the eyes a bit there, and that's a problem because you want to keep those nice grooves. But at the moment, it's not a major concern. I'll show you what to do later on with that. For the most part, you just want to get it all on there. Now, it'll be two parts, realistically speaking, because it's got an inside and an out. So I'll just do the outside as best I can. Actually, no, I can actually do the inside because it's not a major concern. So we'll just get those little nodule bits up there done. And if it's a little bit rough, don't worry about it. I mean, it's nice if it's smooth. It makes it easier when it dries for the next part, but it's not a major concern. The important thing is that you get every little bit of it. All right, I think we've got most of the inside done. The nice balls, nicely covered. Yeah. Sorry, folks, I'm learning to film with a tripod. I'm not normally like this. So if it's getting on camera, it's great. And if it's not, I'll have to edit it later on. Okay, so now we just go around here and make sure it's all coated. Okay, now I have been naughty. I just touched the table with the ends of the knobs there, so I'll just give that a quick wiping over. And as you can tell, a little goes a long way with this stuff. So, but don't be shy. I mean, realistically speaking, what's happening now is the spak filler is going into all the grooves that are left. Now, I have given it a very vigorous sanding, so the grooves are very minute. And all this does is it just makes sure absolutely, positively, 100% those grooves are done. Now, in any event, even with the spak filler on, it's going to be, 90% done. But that's not a major concern. Like I said, most people will just go to the next stage after this. But because, I like my prints to look absolutely awesome. I want them to look the best they can be. So I add in this stage. Most people don't do it. I do. All of these things are suggestions. You don't have to follow it bit by bit by bit. You can chop and change as much as you like, whatever works best for you. That's the important thing. My job here is to make sure that when people do their prints for the first time or whenever, they can have these videos, look back and go, oh, that's what he did. Not a problem. Now, while I have you, I'll just reach over here and grab these. Now, normally when in another video, I said about the bigs and the littles and so forth, and I showed you the little, I'm going to wipe my hands, the fine skulls and the chains and so forth. Now, this is a 3D print, and what I've done is I haven't used the spak filler on it. I've given it a light sanding, and then I've used a product which oh, there it is. Oh, naughty me. It's called Boncrete. Now, this stuff is actually used in concrete mixing, but it's very similar to wood glue, except for it's got a wonderful sealing agent, which really helps out a lot. So what you can do is, with smaller things like this and the skulls and so forth, you can just give it a couple of coats of Boncrete. This stuff dries within an hour, even in winter. It's not smelling. Your brushes will wash out in water. And yeah, and from that, I can just give it a quick coat of spak filler, which I'll be showing you shortly. And for the most part, it's done. Now, if I look really closely, you should be able to see still some lines there. I'm not too sure if the camera's picking them up, but there are some little lines there. But what you can do is you get your good old 800 sandpaper, get in there and give it a good old sanding. And it does take a little bit of that edge off. So you can still see the lines a little bit, but nowhere near as much. I'm not too sure if the camera's picking it up. I may have to get a better quality camera. But we'll get to that stage with the crown next. So what will happen next is I'll wait for that to dry. Now it's winter here, so I'm going to leave it overnight, and hopefully by tomorrow morning it should be nice and dry. If it's summer here in Australia, I would leave it for like maybe 3 hours and the thing will be dry. Do not, under any circumstances, and I made this mistake only once, do not put it in direct sunlight, because even though it's a 3D print, it'll melt. Not a lot, but it'll get very soft and so forth. Indirect sunlight, perfectly fine. Once it's coated with the spray putties and primers and paints, it can last in 40 degrees for about 2, maybe 3 hours. But even then, you got to be mindful. I mean, it is a PLA plus, which is a very strong plastic, but putting it in your car on a 45-degree day, yeah, not the best thing. My stuff is made a lot thicker. I've noticed when I bought some American and some Chinese prints, because I wanted to know how they could do them so cheap and so cost effective. And I found I bought myself a gun. I think it was like a prop gun for, what was it, deep space. And it was beautiful. It was lovely. And I popped it on the table, and this was about a 38-degree day, and I was at a place called the Art Factory. Inside, popped it on the table, went off, got myself a drink, and I thought, maybe I could re-sand that and so forth. Picked it up, and literally it melted in my hands. Part of it stayed on the table as I lifted up the handle. And the reason why, this thing was at a layer 2 thickness, so it was like 2 mil thick, and it had no infill. All of my stuff, no matter what I make, it's a minimum 4 and an infill of around 12 to 20. So it's rock hard. You can put this thing in the sun, and yes, in a 45-degree day, you can leave it in the car, it's going to get soft. But, apart from that, you're going to be fine. I mean, my Boba Fett helmet, I dropped out of a second-story window onto the ground. Now, it was grass, don't get me wrong, just to prove to a guy that, my stuff is sturdy. It's not cheap. It's not crap. I'm not saying that all American places sell that sort of stuff. I'm not saying that all Chinese places do. But I have noticed the fact that a lot of people do sell them very, very cheaply, because that is not, if you're in Canada, I guess it would be great. It would be nice and strong because it's quite cold. But Australian sun, Plus, I like to give a durable product to a client. I don't want them to come back in a year's time and say, look, that thing fell apart after 6 months. I want them to look at that 12 years from now and go, that's awesome. All right, I'm babbling on here. All right, I will let that dry, and then tomorrow morning I'll give it a sand. Ciao.